Hey everyone, today I'll be showing how I created this bright moonlight path watercolor painting. First, I marked off a horizontal line in pencil. I masked off the top section of the page with masking tape, but you could probably do it after the next step, which is marking off the center point of the top and the bottom section of the page. I marked the bottom points 1 inch from each side and then connected to the top slightly from the center point at an angle. I outlined 3 total lines on each side from the center point. I taped another piece of watercolor paper over the bottom section of the page. Then I used a compass to outline the moon in the center of the horizon. I used masking fluid and an old small paintbrush to fill in the moon, but then I noticed there was still a little bit of blue paint on the paintbrush, so I had to clean that off and finish the job. Then I added tiny stars all around the sky, and then I let the masking fluid dry. I used a large mop brush to wet the top of the paper in clean water. Then I used a smaller yet still large brush to add white paint around the moon. Then I diluted that brush in some clean water and continued in the same motion around the moon, just diluting it and spreading the paint out. I painted in the top corners of the sky using the same brush that had been cleaned, yet I started to use purple, blue, and black, using the darker colors for the outer edge and then blending that together. I had a little bit of trouble figuring out how to blend a circle around the moon, as well as the colors, but I always thought to try painting in general just because I thought it would be challenging for me. Using the colors because I'm used to a grayscale with sketch drawing, as well as I hoped that it would help strengthen some patience. I continued to build up the sky colors, blending the darkest to lightest, and then using gray to white around the moon. And using a gum eraser, not actual chewing gum by the way, remove all of the dried masking fluid. I used diluted white acrylic paint and a small paintbrush to add splatter stars across the sky by tapping that paintbrush against another paintbrush. And then I repeated that process with Daniel Smith luminescent watercolor paint, iridescent moonstone. Using a clean round brush, I wet the entire area of the moon, and then I used white, gray, and black paint and mixed together in different ratios, dropping in it all throughout the moon. I began building up the moon layers, and then using a tiny brush I outlined the moon in gray, and then dropping various colors from the same shade throughout the moon. I used the tiny brush to slightly blend the colors together. I removed the masking tape a little bit too early. I was a little eager to connect the lines that I didn't finish earlier, and I placed the ruler onto wet paint. Oops. Using a large, flat brush, I wet both the left and the right land areas, and then using a large round brush, I blended together dark green and browns. I painted in the bright path with lines of pink, blue, and purple, and the right center yellow. Using a tiny round brush and black paint and paper towel to keep the paint a little bit dry on the brush, using tiny strokes as well, I began painting in the trees along the sides of the path. Moving closer to the bottom of the page, I began to make the trees a little bit larger, and I also used dark green throughout the closer trees. I painted in the moon's reflection using a similar technique in the center areas of the trees using the Moonstone luminescent paint. Let fully dry and then remove the masking tape. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more of my videos, just make sure you click that subscribe button.